Good late morning to everyone. Actually, I started this vlog about an hour and a half ago. It's 11 o'clock right now. And I was going to make Sufganiyot, which I'm still going to do. But I have to wait till my son Brian gets home to make that. And you're probably wondering, what is that, Sandy, that you're making? Sufganiyot is Jewish donuts or Israeli donuts. It's the sweets that Jewish people eat during Hanukkah. And so why am I doing that so early? Last year Hanukkah actually was in November. It was Thanksgiving, wasn't it? Or was that the year before? It was early, I think, last year. But anyway, I have to look on my calendar to see the exact date that it is this year. But anyway, the reason why I'm making it today, because same thing when I start doing any Christmas recipes, I'm going to make them kind of ahead of time, what I can, so that, you know, other people have a chance to try to make those things. Now, of course, not everybody is Jewish, and, you know, you don't have to make these, you know, even if you're not Jewish, you can still enjoy them. And even if you don't observe Hanukkah, or there's some people that, you know, especially Christian people, they like to get into the Jewish roots of the whole thing, and, you know, they like to try to, you know, observe Hanukkah by lighting a menorah and that kind of thing. And so anyway, I do have people that have asked me from time to time to share Hanukkah recipes. And for any Jewish people that might come upon this video and you're saying, I hear Christmas music in the background. If you're new to this channel, that's because I am a Gentile / Jew. So my mother is half Jewish. And so we grew up mostly observing the Christian holidays because we are Christian, but because of our Jewish heritage, my mother strongly let that be an influence for me and my brother when we were growing up, so that, you know, we did not forget, you know, our Jewish roots and that sort of thing. So anyhow, so we do all the holidays. So like when I start having my kids, I just do all the holidays so that, you know, they understand, right? So in saying that, what I wanted to share next is why the jelly donuts. Why is that like the main sweets? I mean, they have other desserts too, but why, you know, that in particular? Because they're fried in oil, obviously. And why do we eat latkes as, you know, a side dish during Hanukkah? Because they're also fried in oil. Because it's the whole story of the Maccabees, and they only had their little jar of oil that was enough to light the menorah, you know, for one night, you know, during the revolt. You know, the Maccabees, you know, revolting and that sort of thing. And so you can look up the whole story. But anyway, the menorah stayed lit for 8 days. That's why Hanukkah is 8 days. 8 days, 8 nights, whatever. As Adam Sandler says, 8 crazy nights. I have a dog that needs to get in here. So anyway, it's the whole oil thing, you know, as a reminder, you know, of the oil. Keeping the menorah lit. That's the whole premise of the thing. So anyway, what else do we eat? You can make sugar cookies. You can do like Linzer cookies, that kind of thing, you know, or sugar cookie where it's cut out, and you could put like cut out the centers, and you can put jam in there and that kind of thing. And you can ground walnuts and even put that into your dough. And there's all different kinds of little snacks like that. You could eat rugula. I love rugula, but I just go buy that instead of making it. And what else? We eat a lot of, you know, fruits, because, you know, this is harvest time. And so a lot of your, you know, your dates and your figs and apricots, dried apricots, and all that kind of thing, you know, is this time of year. And so, and nuts and that kind of thing. So that's what you eat, right? So let's look outside. Outside, look, it's my tree. Isn't it pretty? And then my maple finally turned, and you can see my neighbor's maple trees across the street have totally lost all their leaves. My neighbor was outside cutting his grass, getting his leaves up. I obviously can't get my leaves up because my trees are obviously still dropping leaves, but the place still has my tractor. And so while I'm waiting for my son to come home with my yeast so I can make my donuts, I'm going to call the place that has my tractor. They've had it today or tomorrow. It will have been 2 weeks, and I think they picked it up on a Thursday. They could have picked it up on a Friday, but 2 weeks ago to still fix that oil leak. It's like, how long does it take? So anyway, I need to get outside because I have leaves that I have to get up there. Plus, it's been nice here a little bit this week, and my grass grew, so I got to cut the grass, especially in the back. But before I close the door because it's chilly, take a look out there. Look at my hostas. See what happened to them? So I got to go out there and clear all that up, and my hydrangea said goodbye till next year. So anyway, and my other little plants, look at the cold is starting to get to them. See that? So they're going to be on their way out too. And my pumpkin, I keep forgetting to throw my pumpkin away. That's a carved pumpkin. It's all moldy inside, but I keep forgetting to throw it out. So anyway, I'm waiting for my son so I can have some yeast for my donuts. In the meantime, let me call these people and find out what their excuse is of why they have kidnapped my tractor and will not bring it back. Alrighty, it's 12 o'clock. Good timing. My son got home with some yeast. So I have 1 packet of yeast here that is 2 1/4 teaspoons, if you measure it out, in 1 1/4 cup of warm water, lukewarm water, and that's been mixed for a few minutes. I also have 1/2 cup of warm milk, and you want it to be warm, not hot, or it'll kill the yeast. I have in here 3 cups of flour. I need 3 1/2 cups total, but I'm starting out with 3. And I have my 3 tablespoons of sugar in here. And then here I have 1 egg plus 1 egg yolk. And then I'm going to be putting some nutmeg in. I'm going to do that now. I need 3/4 of a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon. I'm just going to use my microplane and just get it in there. You could also use zest of a lemon if you like to. Or you could use zest of an orange if you like to, but I like putting the nutmeg in. Either that, or you could just leave them plain and don't put anything in. So since this now, and my hands are clean, I'm just going to mix that. I'm going to do my little well where you put in your egg. And we're going to put in our yeast mixture. And then put in the milk, and then we're just going to mix it like you would bread. Whoops, as I was beginning to mix, I was like, wait a minute, I don't have something in here, and I didn't have my butter in. You need 1/2 stick, which is 1/4 cup, of softened room temperature butter. So I quickly threw that in there, and then I started to work my dough, and here it is. I've been kneading it for the last, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. And this is, you know, typical kneaded dough. This is how you want it, even like for bread. You want to be able to push your fingers and then have, you know, the indentation rise back up like that. Even my hand, you know, should be like, you know, push it down and it should be coming back up. And so what I'm going to do now is get a greased bowl, and I'm going to put this dough in there and cover it with some plastic wrap, or you can cover it with a cotton towel that's been dampened, but I just use plastic wrap. And you're going to put it in a warm place so that it's just like bread dough, so it could rise. And it's going to take about 1.5 hours to 2 hours to get it to double. After it's doubled in size, then I'm going to take it out of the bowl, let it rest for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to roll it out. And then that's when we're going to cut. And you need a biscuit cutter or like a round cookie cutter that's like 2 to 2.5 inches diameter. If you don't have that, just like a regular glass that you can use, like a drinking glass, use that as your cutter. And we're going to cut out all of the donuts, and then we're going to put it on parchment paper, or you just, you know, set them aside on your counter, and they have to rise. So you'll have to cover them again and let them rise for about like another half hour. And then that's when we fry them. So let me get this going, and then when I do my latkes, let me just say this now while I'm remembering to tell you. When you make latkes, it's best to use either a good white potato that's not real starchy, or you could even use like red potatoes or Yukon Gold. I like using like a white potato, a good white potato, or Yukon Gold. Do not use a russet potato, because russet potatoes have a lot more starch than regular potatoes. And as you're grating your potatoes on a grater, when it hits the air, and after it's been sitting there for, you know, a few minutes in the air, it'll start turning like a pinky color, or like a brown color. By the time you mix in your eggs and your flour, your salt and pepper, onions, whatever you're going to put in it, and then go to fry them in the oil, by the time that you get like your first batch in, they might be okay in color, but as you take those out to put the next batch in, when you look at them, they might even be like a gray color, and then they're just discolored, and it's because of all the starch. If all you have is russet potatoes, you can use those, but when you grate them, it's best to rinse them, okay? And then you'll have to add just like a little bit more flour than you know, you normally have to put in for latkes. So I just want to throw that out there ahead of time, because probably when I start making my latkes, I'm just going to want to grate my potatoes and get going, because even with Yukon Gold or a white potato, you still have to kind of be careful a little bit, not letting them sit out in the air too much, you know, so you got to kind of work fast. Plus, when you're frying them and you got to turn them over, yeah, you got to work fast. Here's my dough, and you can see it's already doubled in an hour and a half here. I'm going to let it go about another half hour. I'm going to let it go till 2 o'clock just to let it raise a little bit more, and then I'll roll it out. Okay, it's not quite 2 o'clock yet, but look at my dough, because I have a warmer that's on my stove right here, and I can turn it on and it helps warm things, and it really bulk this up fast. So I have my oil on, and so that I'm not wasting a lot of oil, I just use my biggest saucepan. What is this? I forget how many quarts that is. There's the small saucepan, then there's the medium pan, then there's this one before your big Dutch oven, so whatever size that is. And I just have it filled halfway with oil. I will use some oil, like I said, for my latkes later. And my latkes, I'll be frying like in a big pan like this. And you need to have about that much oil. So that'll be good. Once I fry the donuts, then I should have enough oil to do my latkes later. Right now, I've got to get this up to 375 degrees, so right there. So I just turned this on, so we're way down there. I got a long way to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this out on my surface, and I'm going to get my jam in my piping bag. Okay, you want to roll your dough probably about a ½ inch thick. And remember when I did this dough, remember how I did only 3 cups of flour? Because the ½ of a cup of flour is reserved for rolling out the dough, and quite honestly, I did not need to use flour because I have a marble surface here, and so things don't usually get stuck. Like even here, I have very little flour that I put on here. So I'm going to just cut. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut my Sufganiyot, and then I'm going to take them off of here like so, and I'm just going to put them there so that the dough can rise a little bit more. I'm going to let it set for about a ½ hour. Okay, these are almost ready to go in the oil, so I'm going to bring these over here, And then have your jam already prepared in your bag. If you're going to use granulated sugar, get that ready as well. And what I'm going to do is, as I'm frying those, I'll put them on there, and I'm going to use paper towel to drain that on. And what I put the next ones in there very quickly, I need to get these cut and filled, and then I'm going to roll them in powder in the granulated sugar. And so it's a very quick process. And since I'm a one-person with this camera here, you're not going to see all of that. That's why I just got to tell you step by step. So I'm going to, again, take one of the Sufganiyot, 2 of them I'm going to put in there. I'm going to do 2 at a time. And then when they start getting browned, flip them over. You want to let them go for, and that's really high, you want to let it go, 20-30 seconds on each side until they're brown. But we got to get this down to 375. It's a little too high right now. And then when they're done, then like I said, you transfer them over here to drain just a little bit. And then as you're starting to put more in, you need to get some of these. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to clear all of this off. It'll just be easier than coming back over here really quick. Then you got to get them filled. You need a paring knife. You can just use that if you want to just plunk it in there, but sometimes it's easier to just take a paring knife and make a slit in the side of the donut. Sometimes they're filled at the top of the donut. It's just however you want to do it. And then again, when these are hot, you don't want them to be completely cool when you go to roll them in your sugar, because if they're cold, the sugar doesn't stick really good. You got to do it when they're warm. Not really hot, but they got to be warm. So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like a fast process. Just like Latkes is also a fast process. And what else do I want to tell you? That's probably about it. You could just not roll them in the granulated sugar. You could just, do all of them, fill them as they're coming out. And then sometimes what people do, they just sprinkle powdered sugar on them, or they'll make like a glaze and put a glaze over them, like, glazed donuts. But when I was telling my son Brian yesterday that I was going to make these, he said, I want mine rolled in sugar. Okay, so I put 1 in there, or 2 in there. I've got 2 already made, and it takes about 20-30 seconds on each side if you got your oil at the right temperature. And then when they start to get golden brown, you're just going to flip them over. Like that. And then, like I said, you're going to bring them over there. You can let them cool for a little bit and put a couple more in so that you can handle them. Then put a slit in and then squeeze in your jam. So let's see. I can go a little bit more. That's about done. Let's put that one there. So let that one go. Alright, so here, let me put a couple of these in for you and show you. So very carefully, you just plop it in there, like that. And you always have to keep watching your oil. You don't want it to get past 375. This is from the first batch that I just took out, and I already took a bite of it. So see, that's what that looks like. Okay, another reason why you don't want to get your Sufganiyot real thick, the dough, you want it like a 1/2 inch thick, and then you cut them and let them rise, because you can see how big those are, and they will puff up when they get in the oil. And the thicker that you have them, because your oil is really hot, and especially when you're trying to keep control of your oil, these can get browned on the outside where they're not done all the way on the inside. And that's the reason too why a lot of people like to get the paring knife and cut it open in the center, just to make sure that it's done. So let's do that with this. So just take the little paring knife like this, and then we just peek inside. So we peek inside there and we can see that that's done. So the next thing we're going to do is fill it. And then when you fill it, you know, it gets nice and thick. And then again, we're going to go ahead and then just run it in the sugar. That if you want a granulated sugar, I mean, you can use powdered sugar, you can use glaze. It's whatever you like. So anyway, I'm going to get these. So there you go, Israeli donuts. It's always better if you have another person helping you, because it's nice that you can have somebody that's there to really monitor the oil and, you know, so that they can turn them and that sort of thing and get them off. And then somebody else there, you know, taking care of filling and that kind of thing, because sometimes we get so busy and distracted trying to fill them, you can let, you know, the ones that are in the oil get a little bit too dark. But I mean, even if they're a little bit dark, like these are a little bit darker here, but they're still good. As a matter of fact, I will open this one here and I'll show it to you. Even though I showed you one and I ate it already, I will have another one because these are small anyway, see? So let's look inside here, shall we? I don't want all that jam to fall out. So you can see how it's done. And then got the jammy jam and the sugar. So I've already tasted them for you. They're really good. You want to see who else likes them too? Look at that. Look at that. The other one's outside. She hasn't had any yet. But see, it's just like very cake-like. And the thing about Sufganiyot, when you make them correctly, they should not be hard and crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. It's supposed to be soft all the way around. So anyway, I hope you guys give it a little whirl. And if you ever make these, let me know how you liked them. My family loves them. And Brian will be thrilled as soon as he gets home that these are here, because he really likes them. And he likes them when I put the sugar on them like that versus putting like powdered sugar. He doesn't like that. Because when I told him I was going to make these, I said, yeah, I'll just go ahead and just dust them with the powdered sugar. He goes, I don't want mine with the powdered sugar. He goes, I want mine rolled in the sugar. So anyway, and there's plenty here. So this last half, I'm going to be kind. Because look at those faces. I mean, seriously? How can I deny those faces looking at me? Plus, I don't need the extra calories anyway, because I'll be eating another one later tonight. Okay, I've got my potatoes peeled and grated, and I do this in batches. I leave my other potatoes in cold water. These are large potatoes. Here I have 3 of about the same size potatoes. So for every 4 medium-sized potatoes, that's what this recipe is, you need your potatoes grated. Okay, and you want them all starchy, like that. You're going to put in a half a cup of flour in addition to all the starch that's in the potatoes. We're going to salt them, and you know potatoes need a little bit of salt, okay? And if you want onions, you can put some diced onions in here. I'm also putting pepper. Typically, Hanukkah, when people were making latkes, when they put in onions, they usually put in the green scallion onions. So, but you don't have to. You can put in, you know, just regular onions if you want. And what I'm putting in now is 2 eggs. And then, after I'm done putting my eggs in, my boys don't like onions, as you know, but they don't mind onion flavor, so I'm going to put onion powder in, and then I'm going to get this mixed up, and we'll start putting it in the oil. We also need to have a plate with paper towel. See that they start to get golden brown around the edges where they still have a ways to go. That's when we want to go ahead and flip them. But I will just show you. They're not quite yet. They're getting there. And sometimes when they start to cook up, you can make room to squeeze another one in here. Which that's what I'm going to try to do. I can get one more right there. Because remember I told you, the starch in your potatoes will start to turn this different colors. And even though these are white potatoes, you still need to work very quickly so they don't do that. If these were russet potatoes, we'd have all kinds of issues going on right now. Okay, so this was the first one. It's really not ready to go, so I'm going to put it back. I could probably turn this up just a tad bit. Okay, so I flipped them over. Latkes are served with applesauce or sour cream. And I'm going to wait for Hanukkah to do all of that. I'm just really doing this to show you guys and for the potatoes for my dinner. Because remember I told you I was going to make scallop potatoes. I think I told you that. But anyway, yeah, I was going to make scallop potatoes for dinner. And I thought, well, while I'm making my little Israeli donuts, I thought I would just go ahead and show you the latkes because I would have all the oil and everything. So anyway, I'm just going to do that. And we have our chicken and the green beans. And here's my son's chicken. This is minus the honey mustard sauce. He does not like that. So let's see what these look like. They still have a little bit to go yet. So there we go. That's our first batch. That's 5 latkes there. So that's what they look like. Just like that. And I've got the rest. So this made 3 times 3, 9. It made 9 latkes altogether. And since Harry's out of town, those other 2 potatoes, I'm just going to leave them in cold water. Well, I'm going to get clean cold water, put them in the fridge. And I'll make my scallop potatoes tomorrow using those. I had them just in case. If Harry would have been here, I would have had to make like another quick batch. But since it's just me and the 2 boys, 3 latkes a piece is plenty. And my 3 latkes will be these smaller ones here, the bigger ones, the boys. They can have those. So anyway, that's how you make latkes, and that's how you make sufganiyot. So anyway, I hope you learned a little something today, and I will see you on the next vlog. Bye! I know I said goodbye, but Adam came in and he goes, did this snow just come out of nowhere? And it did. It's little flurry, so you probably can't see a whole lot, but it's snowing out there. When I went to pick up my car, because my car had to get a couple things taken care of on it, repaired, and when I went to get it, it looked like it was going to snow, and it was actually sleeting outside at the time. So yeah, it went from sleet to snow. How about that? Our first snow.